Hi, everybody. Welcome. Poor connection today. We have a super poor connection, but welcome to season 1, episode 8 of The Dialogue with me, Nidhi Pandya, and Guru Yogi Shivan. And today we're going to be talking about, we started a conversation last time around Indian rituals, and we're going to continue that conversation. So bring on your questions, bring on the rituals that you want to talk about. Some of the rituals we talked about last time were why we touch the feet of elders, and why we do the namaste and how that aligns the male and the female energies. We talked about all the rituals of the temple, how you 5 elements that you kind of offer, you bow down to, you replenish in your own self. We also spoke about the Garbhagriha, and the Garbhagriha was hey everybody, the Garbhagriha was basically the little room that's enclosed in a temple, which has the ability to be fully shut, and reciting mantras in the Garbhagriha, basically because it's an enclosed space and it has that vacuum, allows for the sound to really, for the statues to really absorb the sounds deeply, and that kind of retains that energetic retention is there. I'm going to drink a sip of water while Guruji comes. Sorry guys, but I had a little bit of a long day. I have had a great project coming up that I've been working on in India, which really took me traveling today. It took me really far into the city, and the day became much longer than I wanted it to be. But hey, let's see if Guruji is here. Well, he isn't. Why don't guys, go ahead, ask your questions, tell me something. It's a day where I'd like to talk less, which is rarely a day. But I hope, also this might be, so for this particular season, this is the last or the second last episode, depending on how many questions and rituals we kind of really get to. From the next episode onwards, from the next season onwards, which will be after a break of a couple of weeks, we're going to take completely different topics. And we're going to, with something very exciting coming up. In fact, like more with the practical stuff that everybody and anybody can be used to. Okay, so completely not related to the episode, but I'm going to still take this question. What do I think of epidurals during childbirth? If it continues to pause, I'm going to go and find myself a better corner. But what I think of epidurals during childbirth, I feel like you don't want to be super hard on yourself if you really can't go through with it. Some people have really long labors and the pain is intense. If you feel like I actually gave birth very easily both times, because I had done a lot of mental rehearsal, and it worked for me. I had a precocious labor, which means it was really short, quick labor. Guruji isn't there yet. We'll wait for him. So I had a short, quick labor, which made it super easy for me. I did take an epidural the second time, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be a longer labor. And I just tell everybody that do honor your body the best you can. And if you really, where you require, where you feel like your mind has, your mind is suffering, your mindset is suffering, take the help that you need to take. So I don't take any medication at all myself. I still tell people that if you need to, you just honor yourself and you do what you need to do. I want to know why we use ring finger for applying tilak. I have heard ring finger is very powerful. Okay, let's do that. Did I have to take a vaccine to travel to India? So I'll tell you, Anoki, I did not have to take a vaccine to travel to India. In fact, I felt it was super duper easy. Did I take the vaccine to go to India? Yes. And I actually did have to end up taking, I've taken my first shot. It was a very difficult decision for me to take that first shot, but my entire family was like, if you don't take it, we're going to tie you down and give you Covishield. And there's no travel happening. So I had to surrender and say that I'm not taking this out of fear, because I still, to be honest with you, I don't have that fear-driven mentality. But I said to myself, I'm taking this. I really said a prayer for the vaccine, said a prayer for Corona. I said, I still trust in the universe and I trust the plan that it has for me. I'm doing this for other purpose, for practicality, to appease a lot of my family. And I did. The honest answer is that I did, without really believing in the vaccine myself. That's an honest answer as well. Okay, Guruji is here, guys, and we will get on very quickly as soon as Guruji sends an invite to join. So that was a little off topic, those couple of questions, but we still did something. View request, go live, get started.
Namaste.
Guruji, namaste. I'm holding my phone with one hand, so I can't, like you suggested, to put the right and the left hand together to have both the energies unite. For the namaste is a little hard for me, but I'm going to try. Namaste, Guruji.
How are you?
I am good, Guruji. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. Sorry, last session we missed, but it is a good news.
Let's hear.
We were in Gujarat for a business talk, and it went successful. And most probably, 22 January, we will open Intimacy Junagadh in Gujarat.
Guruji, that's amazing news. Wow.
So things are happening the way I was planning, but as the Supreme Master, the nature decides, things will happen.
That's brilliant, Guruji. And did you find the land just the way that you would have liked to find land?
No, there is an existing property with almost 100 rooms, 5-star facility, just near the Dattatreya Samadhi in the Girnar Mountains. It's an amazing area and very close to the Asia's largest ropeway, and that is the temple city of Gujarat. Everything is available and made ready for intimacy ideas.
That's lovely, Guruji. That's such great news. Also much closer for me, Guruji, to come to.
That's what I'm saying. As we, make the format of our system, our inner software, the supreme software get connected to that. That is what we call yoga.
Lovely, lovely, Guruji. Guruji, the conversation that we had last time, we were talking about the rituals, and we spoke about why you touch, why you touch the feet of elders, why you do, why you do namaste with two hands, and we spoke about some of the rituals that we do in the mandir, in the temple. Yes. I'm encouraging everybody to also put out their questions, their rituals. This is a great time. So Guruji, one of the questions that came about was of the tilak, and we had started talking about this briefly last time. But using firstly, one question: is it advised to use the middle finger? Some people use the thumb. Some people use either the ring finger for the tilak. Why is that so? And what is the significance of the tilak?
Okay. Tilak is a mark. Technically, we can say it's a mark. In Marma Shastra, there are 108 energy points in our body, acupressure points in Chinese terminology. It's clearly stated that Vadu Marmam Pandranda. Pandranda in Sanskrit or Malayalam, 12. There are 12 energy points, very vital. With the tip of our finger, we can kill a person.
Sorry, Guruji, yeah.
Okay. So that's very vital. Then, Thodu Marma, Tonuti Anj, 95 sub-centers are there through which we can manipulate the energy flow, the pranic flow of the body. There is 107 total. Then the 108th one is Tilasakala Marma, where you put the tilak, center of eyebrows. If something is happening there, seriously, then nobody can save that person. That is Tilasakala Marma. Again, Marma, where mind is being focused and convert itself into prana, or prana is converting itself into mind. That is what's called marma. like an unmodified state of energy is manifesting as matter. There is a technology behind it, universal or natural technology or technique of nature. When we understand that, these marmas will be explained to us. Anyhow, tilasa means this is where if you use either saffron or sandal and put a bindi over there, that will influence the pineal gland, and pineal gland has a master of control, overall control of the whole system. So it will keep your mood under your control. Otherwise, mood will be keep on changing beyond your control. So when you put a bindi, either using the saffron or sandal, it will affect the pineal gland. That is a biological explanation. Then pineal gland, so long as you maintain your pineal gland active, your mood will be under your control, and almost all granthis, glands in your body, will be having that influence.
Absolutely.
In yoga, the ultimate aim of yoga is pranapanayor granthi. Learn to connect your prana and apana and focus it in any one of your vital points, marmas. There it will start illuminating. This is what's happening. There the yogic fire is lit up. So, as you activate these hidden glands, it will be secreted. And according to that secretion, you will come to know you will experience many things. So once the pineal gland is activated, you will get an ecstatic feeling. In modern chemistry, that gland is producing something like dimethyltryptamine. That is a heavy drug, which is available in present in LSD, something like that. So a person who is focusing his mind over there, Ajna Chakra, will feel some kind of ecstasy. If that person is not capable of doing through pranayama, they are advised to put the bindi over there. That is the yogic concept.
Got it.
The second question, which finger you use? Usually, people use thumb or ring finger. Both are having its significance because our fingers are representing 5 elements. The little finger is representing earth, second is water, third is fire, fourth is air, and fifth is space. So when we use ring finger, usually mudra will be like this. When we use ring finger, it will be connected to our blood flow. Water element is being reminded. That's all. The other one is for focusing our idea, our mind in the infinity. We use space. Yes, that's all. Otherwise, if you use any one of other fingers, it's not going to make much difference. But everything is connected to your mind. What mind conceives will manifest in the muscle.
Got it, Guruji. Right. I'm just going to summarize the quick concept of this point, which is such an important point. And so, Guruji, before I even do that, I want to ask you, if you don't do saffron and if you don't do sandalwood and you just apply like a bindi like this, what is then the significance?
These are sandal and saffron are having a chemical effect to influence this gland. Otherwise, you can use anything which is not harming you. You must feel that something is there. So when your attention is there, where yatha prana or yatha mana tadha prana or yatha prana tadha mana. So you apply something physically, your mind is aware of that. Once mind is reaching there, then prana will be focused over there. That's all.
Okay. So I'm going to quickly summarize this. The concept of the tilak or the bindi, it's not just an aesthetic. It's done because this point right here is a marma. And marma are basically points in your body where kind of, there is a great potential. There's the energy centers almost where your mind and prana unite. So they really have a strong effect on your body, on your mind, on all the subtle channels as well. When you touch this, you're actually stimulating your pineal gland, which is the command center, which is the control center. And Guruji, I talk about this a lot, even in my work that I do in Ayurveda, is that the pineal gland, the pituitary and the pineal control everything else. They are like the central control office. How your chemical environment is going to be, the Guruji talks about the chemical environment in the body. So they are really the controllers of the chemical environment of your body. By doing this, you're kind of stimulating that. And also, like Guruji said, if you put your mind to it and you remind yourself of the purpose of your existence, it's really to regulate that activity of the pineal gland, that command center, that control center. And you can achieve this state through pranayam, through your other sadhana. But for those who can't, who are not there, or who don't want to, or who are not there yet, you kind of use the tilak for that additional stimulation. Am I right, Guruji?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So Guruji, somebody said that wearing a finger on the index finger is supposed to nobody is supposed to wear wear a ring on the index finger. Is that right?
No. See, there are many beliefs based on the reality. And people will have, explain according to their whims and fancies. But just focus on either this ring finger or the this one, thumb. Because usually tilak is done like this.
Okay. Is there anything wrong if a married lady doesn't wear a Mangal Sutra and Kumkum?
There is nothing wrong. Again, idea should be considered. And why ladies are, the ladies after the married women, they will put their bindi over here, in the forehead, above the forehead. Why? Because it's only to recognize. So when they wear the Mangal Sutra, it's clearly stated, everybody is aware that this lady is married. Nothing else.
And Guruji, what about bangles?
Bangles. This Mani Marma. Here another Marma is there. Very, very, strong Marma is there, and in our Kalari poetry, in our martial art, for like snatching the weapon from the person, a strong person, we use this Mani Marma. We will make it soften, or we will hurt it, and we will snatch the weapons. But what I'm saying, when you use a bangle over there, this marma will be activated. And on top of that, like it's a beauty concept also. But you might have seen some sages, they will use Rudraksha this area also.
Okay, so again, this is activating a marma. What is the marma that it activates, Guruji? How does that marma function?
You can see, like the pulse, where you pulse, check the pulse. The where prana is located, actually it is being stimulated over there. There are many calculations and activities happening in relation with the cosmic energy center. When during full moon day, your all marmas are not active, active. Certain marmas will be active. That is why many people find there's a difficulty in sleep.
Guruji, the connection is gone really weak. Is anybody else experiencing Guruji's connection disturbed, or is it only me? It became very, very blurry. I don't know if I'm the only person, Guruji. Okay, I guess it's fine.
Okay. For me, everything is clear. Is it okay now?
Is the connection okay? Yes or not? Or network issues? So Guruji, there is, but it's become better now. Let's give it another shot. Yes, connection had gone bad, but it's become better now, Guruji. So Guruji, what I want to ask you is that the marma point of the bangle, so I know that the nose piercing, Guruji, when you pierce the nose, that supports female health. It supports the menstrual health, the fertility of a woman, that point here. So similarly, the marma point for the bangle, is there anything that it supports, Guruji? What is the significance of that marma point?
This Mani Marmam, I am not very sure about the theological.
Okay, Guruji. Okay, would you happen to know, Guruji? I mean, now all of the women are asking all of the Shringhar questions, the solar Shringhar questions, Guruji. You know, if also, Guruji, when women wear a ring on the toes or the second toe, does that have a significance?
Every stone is having its own significance, but it depends on your mental and physical condition. But another thing, which stone people are wearing, one among Navaratnas. But have you ever seen an original diamond? Original diamond, which is having the real inner. And how many people can afford it?
Yeah, not many. Yeah.
These are all only beliefs. Of course,
Right.
actual diamonds are having, Navaratnas are having the power of minute effect of Navagrahas. But wearing a particular rituals by wearing stones or bangles. Instead of that, understand the science behind it. It's a ritual. Ritual should be understood properly, and we should know the essence behind it. It's a particular kind of vigraha. What is the word meaning of vigraha? Visheshena grahyade iti vigraha. There are, millions of gods. God forms are created and presented to the society by masters, and countless rituals also introduced on behalf of these gods. But these idols of gods are called vigrahas. So you must know the idea behind that symbol, bimbam. Bimbam is symbol. So based on that symbols, there are many rituals. So how relevant the rituals are in connection with this science, rituals also showing a particular, or it is conceiving, it contains a particular idea to be understood carefully. So wearing the stones is saying this, you have to activate your 9 marmas in your brain through proper pranayama, which will be in contact with the Navagrahas. So then it will start shining like a Nava, what is that? Navaratnas. Ratna means diamond. It will start shining by itself. You might have seen in Kung Fu tradition, some masters, when they reach to certain heights of Kung Fu practice, you can see certain points will be marked. It is some kind of, they will use a particular wood and it will be heated, and with that heat, they will burn certain point. You know why it is? Actually, they're sterilizing. Yeah, they're sterilizing some antennas in the body. That means they will, disconnect the link with the Navagrahas, which will give them special powers. So everything is possible if you know the science behind it. So wearing a bangle or wearing a stone containing a particular idea which should be materialized within the body through practice. Once you understand that practice, like putting a bindi, if you know how to meditate and focus your mind over there, then you are not supposed to put bindi over there. Till that moment, you can just follow the ritual without knowing the science behind it.
But then, Guruji, you see such experienced sages putting all those 3 lines here, sandalwood lines.
That also I can say why we put 3 lines and put a spot in a vermilion spot in between, in the middle. That also a symbol. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. That 3 levels of mind is represented by 3 lines. And a person who can go beyond that 3 4 dimensions of mind, he will be able to focus his mind in the center. That is the vermilion spot. That is the meaning.
Got it. Got it, Guruji. Yeah, so all our rituals have deeper meanings. They're all connected. All the rituals, all the ornaments that we wear, they're not aesthetic only. They have an energetic, the way they're worn is to activate certain energy centers in our body. So you have a connection with the cosmos and
Of
you have a
course.
cosmic connection. So they all enable a cosmic connection. So they all make our journey that much easier if we are able to do them with the understanding. Without that mana, without that prana, it's the prana is not going to flow unless you know why you're doing it. The prana is not going to flow there.
Yes, if you see somebody who is putting, like a mark with the 3 lines, one vermilion spot, the moment you see that, or how many people are seeing that, all of these guys, these people immediately be reminded of that message. When something is reminded in the mind, we will become aware of that. So you are what you know. That is the psychology, or that is the reality. So if we are reminded by the society in each and every corner, it's being reminded uh, the meaning and the benefit of being or going beyond the 3 senses. That is what is making a society spiritual. If a society is established into spiritual values, there is no problem of ego clashes, then fights, unnecessary fights, no disturbances. So everything is having that spiritual harmony. That is the eternal or the ultimate aim of our human life.
Absolutely, Guruji. What about putting mehendi on the palms, Guruji? What is the significance of mehendi on palms?
That's only for ladies' time pass and fun. That's all. Nothing else.
So that has no meaning at all, huh, Guruji?
That is, if you draw something, you are reminded about this one or something, like a symbol which is showing that, or you draw a goddess picture. When you see that idea behind that goddess is reminded in your mind. So you're always having that positive thought.
Got it,
Then
Guruji.
one more benefit is there. You can show to others, saying that, yeah, I have these things like that.
So cooling effect, Ankita, would be more of like a medicinal thing, right? We're talking about the rituals. So yeah, Guruji, Mehendi does have a cooling effect. It cools you down.
That sandal also having cooling effect. Why this Mehendi only?
That's true. Yeah, Mehendi. So it's a more of an aesthetic thing. Guruji, what are some of the rituals that you actually still follow? I'm very curious to know.
I don't follow any kind of ritual, but I don't deny anything. It's like education. When you go to a primary school, up to 7th standard, you will be studying there. But after passing the 7th exam, then you are not going to that school again. You are going to high school. It doesn't mean that you deny primary schools. That will be maintained for next generation. Same way, these rituals are like spiritual schools. When you understand and experience it, experiencing a ritual is passing that exam. Then after passing that exam, you are not supposed to stick on that. That will be slavery. Like a person is going to a primary school, never he studies, and he is not attending the exam. Throughout his life, he will be going to school. That is what is happening with our people who are going to the temples. Without knowing, they are going to temples. All temples they go, and they don't know why they are going. If you go to a Devi temple, you must know the idea behind that particular idol, vigraha. When you understand and adopt it and bring it into your practice, then you are not supposed to go visit that temple again because you have already passed that exam. Then you can go to another temple, Bhairava temple. So when you go there, higher energy is there, understand it, adopt it, experience it, then finish. Go to another temple. Like that, few temple visits will give you good education, spiritual education. Then you will have a doctorate in your education. If you are having a doctorate or 2 or 3 doctorates, PhDs, you are able to like develop a university. This is how masters established temples. When they experienced certain things, they brought that idea and infused their energy into a particular metal or a stone. So they bring bimbas and consecrate it and make it Chaitanya Vigraha. Then keep somewhere and construct a temple and advise the people to do the Nitya Puja. How? You have to perform the daily rituals to maintain the energy which is already infused in it. Based on that energy only, Prasad, Tirtha, all Abhishekas should be performed. So, temple science or ritual science is a very, very well established fact, scientific fact, which should be experienced. It is beyond explanation.
Got it. So all of these are just like Guruji always says, these are just stepping stones. And once
Yes.
Guruji gave a beautiful example of, the pole vault. You're holding the pole, but the leap
Yes.
you have to make alone. So he said, even the Guru, right? Even when you finally make the leap, it's you by yourself on the other side. Everything else is in preparation. But if you keep holding on to the pole, you're never going to make the leap. So at some point, whenever you're ready, and here also Guruji told us that when you're ready, only you know. There is no external prescription. It's a natural, organic journey. As you keep exploring and become curious and go closer to your truth, do the Chitta Vritti Nirodha, and practice the breath work, you automatically answers will keep coming and you will constantly progress on this path.
That is the fact. There you are. All these rituals must be considered as tools for winning the game. That's all. Or attaining your target. The moment you feel that you achieve the target, you have to give up all rituals. So when you follow a ritual, that point should be reminded. This ritual is to go beyond your mind. If you are attached or entangled to your mental thoughts, your intellectual classifications, then the purpose of the ritual is lost.
So, but you know what happens, Guruji, and I know this happens with me, right? There's certain rituals that I like to practice and I do it regularly. And then something happens, I travel or something becomes busy, and then those rituals get diluted a little bit. And then, so Guruji, they get diluted a little bit, and then I kind of don't feel like I need them sometimes. But then again, when I go through a period where I feel all lost, I come back to the same ritual. So I keep playing this game with some rituals where you go into it and you go out of it. And I think, is that even just a part of the normal journey?
Yeah. Again, you are strictly following, sometimes you are strictly following a ritual, or sometimes you are diluting the ritual. That means the player is your intellect. That means you have not understood the ritual, the essence behind the ritual. So, like to me, if you asked me the question, what kind of ritual I am following? I am not following any kind of rituals because I understood the science behind the rituals. I am doing Shiva Puja. Shivalinga Puja I am performing. If I keep a particular idol of Shivalinga, then put flowers or anything on that and reciting a mantra. What does it mean? I am entangled into the ritual. But I understood what Shivalinga is. Shivalinga is the energy form or the conserved energy. Where the focused energy is there, there will be an oval form. Understood it? That is my head. So where I should use my offering, where I should put my offering is my own head. Then inside I can see Brur Madhye Shivasthane Manastatra Viliyade. This is what is clearly said by the masters who introduced the rituals. Brur Madhye means Ajna Chakra. That is what is called Shivasthana. Manastatra Viliyade. There your mind will dissolve. Yadavayam tat padam turiyam. That is what is your target. Go beyond 3 dimensions. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. That is the meaning of the vermilion spot. When I reach there, you are into 4th dimension. Time, space, causation. You went beyond this three dimensions. That is the ultimate goal. When I understood that, this body became my temple. Clearly said by Krishna in Gita, Idam Shariram Kaundeya Kshetram Vidiyade, means your body is the real temple. Then if the temple is the body, who is the God? Your spirit, your soul. So experience that soul. That is what is the purpose of all temple visits and rituals. Now, what is the relevance of visiting a temple for a person who experienced the reality within? Everybody must be aware of this. There, if I am not reaching to the real essence, I will always be entangled into my daily rituals, like keeping a bimba, then I put on something and thinking that God will be happy on me and I will get my things. As you said, if I am not able to do it when I am traveling, I may dilute it.
I do. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I do when I'm traveling. I'll do a shorter version of my rituals. But right,
But
Guruji,
again, 1 minute. But again, it is said clearly that na pujaye lingam rave, na pujaye lingam vivek, means don't do your ritual or your puja daytime. Then nighttime you are not supposed to do the puja. Then when you have to do pujaye lingam sarvada,
always.
each and every breath you should be aware of that archana, that offering to God. So when you convert your breath into that archana, that ritual, then you will not miss even 1 second with God. Like always you will be connected to the ultimate reality which we label as God.
You know, Guruji, when you're saying this, it's reminding me when you're learning to bike, you have training wheels. When somebody wants to ride a cycle, they have training wheels. And when you learn, and when you're done, when you learn it, then you don't need the training wheels. That's kind of,
Exactly.
you use all of these temples and this rituals and the symbolism to really start making that journey within. But once you've made that journey within, it's like it's no use for that, because you have understood the temple within you. You understood the reality within you. So that is the journey, and it has to be systematic. Now I understand. I can't
Yeah.
dilute it whenever I feel like it. Okay, Guruji, I'm going to ask some of these questions. Ouch, there's a lot of questions here. Okay, what is that? That some application of cinnamon and honey on the forehead? Do you know about that, Guruji? Applying cinnamon and honey on the head?
Apply cinnamon and honey on head. No.
Yeah, no. I think that may be like a particular cultural belief.
See,
Also,
India is having different culture and different practices. It's a huge territory, and many languages, many rituals are there. I am focusing on the traditional Vedic rituals.
okay. Guruji, but a lot of cultures say you should not cut your nails at night. I also want to know the answer to that one.
Pardon?
Cutting your nails at night.
Oh, there is nothing wrong. Even I was also asked not to cut the nail in the at night. Earlier, when these rituals were taught, there was no electricity. In the night, if you use a knife to cut your nail, you may hurt yourself. So do it in daytime when where there is sufficient light. Not only nails, even hair. We were not allowed to cut our hair after sunset. Why? Because the barber is coming at home and cutting the hair with a like dim light. He may cut our ears. So that is why. Otherwise, there is no other like a spiritual meaning behind this. It's
Thank
comfort
you,
and safety.
Guruji. That was so useful. Thank you for clarifying that. So, Guruji, I want to ask you a couple of important questions. One is nazar. You know, there's a big concept of nazar. I don't know what it's called in South India, but the fact that evil eye, that especially for
Evil eye.
babies. Yeah. And Guruji, even in Ayurveda, honestly, there's a chapter on Bhuta Chikitsa, which is kind of nazar, and Bhuta Vidya and Bhuta Chikitsa. So we have a lot of different types of bhuta chikitsas. And what is that, Guruji?
Yes, that like a bad eye is there. It's not only in India, it's all over the world. That kind of energy is there.
Yeah.
Some people who are having, like different kinds of powers. By birth, they have. I read about one boy who was in Alaska who could see things, beyond the wall, like he was having X-ray eye. So this can happen, and these things are available around the world. But if you don't want to be affected, if you know how to manage your vibration, whatever may be the strength of other guys, like vision, it will not be affected. Actually, one side of this occult practice, Dur Mandravad, black magic, is some kind of energy created through practice. There are two types of energy: by birth, by nature. Some people are having this kind of energy, extra ordinary power. But these extraordinary powers can be developed through practice also, like clairvoyance and all this.
Got it.
But yes, if we practice pranayama to stabilize our pranic flow, well in tune with the mind and prana, then none of these energies can affect that person who is practicing.
Okay, so there is something. There are energetics. Because there is so much energetic reality. Even the evil eyes.
There are many.
It's an energetic reality, and the way you kind of get affected with any energetic reality or not is by your own energetic sphere. The fact that it's energy, it's magnetic, and only anything magnetic only works with when you can attract that charge, whether it's good or bad. So only thing we can regulate is our own energetic sphere, and when we are able to regulate our own energetic sphere, then automatically either you can invite good, you can invite the evil energies. So our job is still the same, and that is to manage our own energetic field. I believe that.
But one more point. Why ladies are advised to put saffron over this one as bindi? But men are asked to do sandal. Ladies are asked to put saffron. You know why it is?
Because of the Shiva and Shakti.
No. Actually, it has another benefit also. Anybody who is having a power to concentrate or influence a lady, usually men, they are more intellectual, and their ajna chakra will be most normally more powerful than ladies. So when this guy focuses his mind on a lady to attract, if the vermilion spot is there, the first attempt of attraction will be slightly twisted, deviated. It's like in Kalari, in martial art and in boxing. Like if somebody is punching with the full strength and speed, if the opponent is very well experienced, he can calculate his range of motion. So we can see where the exact spot will be there, the maximum pressure will be applied on that punch. So what he will do, he will move at least 1 to 2 inches from that area. Means even if the other guy is punching with the full strength, even if it is banged on the body, it will not be as dangerous as the opponent man, because the fighting gap is changed. Or fighting sport is changed.
Deviated.
Yes. In Kalari also, there is a prayoga called marma adav. Means when we fight, maybe our two hands are engaged with something, with that little gap came, the other guy is hitting on our marma. We cannot block it. Suppose we cannot block it, then what we will do? We will hold the breath and change the marma for few centimeters, or remove that, shift the marma from that particular point. So the other opponent is focusing on this one, Snetra marma. If he is punching over there and we cannot block it, suppose we couldn't, Then we hold the breath, shift the marma from there, either left or right. So he will be attacking on the exact marma, but that he cannot hurt us because the marma is shifted from there. Same way, a guy with a bad intention is focusing on a lady. The first attempt will be immediately shifted because that vermilion spot can shift his attention.
Got
If
it.
the first action is failed, then the lady is aware of that. When she become aware, then no more influence possible.
It's reminding me of all when you see Ramayana and Mahabharata and all this clashing of those two arrows and things get deviated.
There are many things like this. They are interesting.
Yeah, so guys, there is such an energetic reality around us that we are really not aware of. But just sometimes after when I talk to Guruji, even when I just tune into the own energetic sphere around me, you can feel things. You can feel the shift in energies so many times. So Guruji, there's a lot of questions, but I'm only going to take three more questions. Anokhi, he spoke about what to do for evil eye, which is change your own energy. Guruji, the importance of Rudraksh. What is the importance of Rudraksh?
Rudraksha is the seed which can emit a lot of electrons. Yes, it's very powerful. But we should be very careful about it. Nobody has seen an electron. Have you heard about that?
Nobody has an electrode.
Nobody has seen an electron.
Oh.
Because electron cannot be seen. But that is the reality of power. Continuous flow of electrons is called electricity. So,
got it.
Our body, the whole universe is existing because of the exchange of electrons. And there are many things which are emitting electrons in a high level. Some are emitting in a low level. So all these things are affecting our life. The Rudraksha is a seed which keeps on emitting electrons. So wherever an electron is there, a proton will be attracted on that. Okay, then we must know the energy exchange of the seed and the surroundings.
Yes.
Otherwise, when we wear it, sometimes it can harm us beyond expectation. That is why Rudraksha is not advised. Wearing Rudraksha is not advised for people for having material commitments, material life, householder. It is being used by the sages who can verify the energy flow in the body and surroundings.
Got it. So Rudraksha, you basically don't play.
One more thing, you can see the meaning. Rudra Aksha. Aksha means eye. Rudra means Maharudran, God. But the meaning is Rudra means Raudra, fierceful. So the whole world is existing because of the bombardment of molecules, energy packets in the body. That's a quantum dynamics.
Raudra is like that whole explosion.
Yes. So because of this bombardment of this energy packets, the whole world is existing. Based on that, even our system also functioning. So this seed can activate some of our hidden potentials of our spirituality. If the spiritual energy is not measured and controlled, it can harm the person. That is why, for safe side, Rudraksha is not allowed for household.
Fair enough. So Rudraksha is like playing with fire. Not anybody can play with fire. You have to be really expert. So with Rudraksha, because it has so much energetic ability,
yes,
it can. And when you have so much energetic attracting ability, like an electrode, you could attract almost anything. So unless you're really tuned into the energies around you, unless you're in an environment which allows for only that kind of flow, like a very experienced rishi or a very experienced sage, then you can still use Rudraksh. For a
Yes.
householder to use Rudraksh, you may attract things that you don't want to attract, so you don't want to play with that fire. Okay, Guruji, there are a lot of other questions. Maybe we'll do one more session. I'm going to encourage all of you who had questions next time to come on. And in the start of our session, bring on your questions so we're not left in the ending with so many. Guruji, my one question was, menstruation for women during their cycle, and I know that even in Ayurveda there is significance to this, is not going to the temple or staying away, because there's a lot of heating energies in the body. But I want to hear your understanding of, why are women to be resting during their cycle?
Yeah, it's a real science which should be discussed and understood by these ladies. But most of the time, majority will fall into the rituals, and it will be an exaggeration. When we analyze the science, we must know, as I told you, Granthi, Pranabhani or Granthi. Granthis, glands are really controlling everything in the system. So, among ladies, you should be aware of two things. One is ovulation and one is menstruation. Both are really expulsions from the body. So ovulation means an egg is being produced from the infinite energy. Energy is condensed and made a small limited form. It's like a black hole. The whole universal energy is stored in that particular egg. Once it is expelled after the production, after the creation, then once it is expelled, there will be a tremendous energy fluctuation in the body. That time, a lot of electrons will be emitted from the system. But technically or naturally, estrogen level will be high in that ovulation time.
Right.
So it will manage the stress which is developed in the body due to ovulation.
Right.
But menstruation time, actually, the endometrium, the thick layer from the uterus, it has to be expelled.
Yeah.
And a lot of blood will be, used to expel it, to wash out that.
Right.
So this time also, that lady will have a lot of, loss of electrons.
Yeah.
By the time, if you take an atom, if one electron is lost from an atom, what will remain? Proton will remain. Proton has positive charge. Electron is negative. When the negative of molecule or the electron is expelled, this proton cannot survive. That is what is called free radical. So when during this time, when menstruation time, these electrons will be lost. The lady will be a storehouse of free radicals. So these protons will try to attract electrons from surroundings. That is why this lady is advised to be alone in a seclusion. Anybody approaches this lady, what will happen? Her body will start attracting the electrons from the other person. This stress is called, oxidated stress. There, this lady desperately in need of antioxidants. That is why traditionally, a lady who is having menstruation, she will be kept, in a seclusion and will provide food and all other things which are having a lot of, antioxidants like turmeric and many things will be supplied for giving her more, electron supply. Otherwise, she will be asked to have nice shower, or she will be asked to go to the river and have wonderful, bath. What does it mean? Water is the main agent of, it's an antioxidant. So we have a nice shower. It will liberate a lot of electrons. Then our protons which are running all over the body as free radicals will capture this electrons and it will be settled. The energy will be settled. So these rituals are not without a reason. Everything is with a particular scientific background.
That was very well explained. So your body becomes very volatile when you are
Yes.
on your menstruation cycle. Your body is very volatile, and in that volatile body, the tendency to attract energetically or even otherwise to go through that oxidative stress, to have that free radicals. And Guruji, today there are so many hormonal cancers that women go through, cervical cancer, all of that. And I think one of the biggest causes is not honoring the menstrual cycle. But honoring the menstrual cycle, just taking it easy in your body, helps not only the Vayu at a physical level, but really helps you, to not go through that volatile environment that you have. You need to support to settle. Harshada, you don't wash yourself in Ayurveda. That's true that in 3 days you don't wash yourself. But I think what Guruji is saying is when you're done with your period or the third or the fourth day, and you need all of that to settle, that's when you kind of go and wash yourself, right? The fourth day, exactly, or the fourth day.
But the question you said, why these ladies are not allowed to go to temple also. See, temple, if it is a real temple, the idol must be having different type of energy. We don't know which energy will be. It's a Devi temple, one particular energy, Shiva temple, another one, Bhairava, another temple. So different types of energy will be stored by the master. So that will be, if it is a Chaitanya Vigraha, it will keep emitting this energy. It's some kind of radiation. When this lady is really in this, affected stage, the vulnerable stage, if she is going near the temple, most probably she will not be capable of managing this energy flow from the Vigraha, from the idol.
Yes.
It's like a lady who is conceived, who is carrying, will not be allowed to go to a scanning center or X-ray units. Why? Because that vibration definitely will affect the embryo and the health of that body.
Amazing.
The same way, once we are the ladies, especially in this time, there will be a lot of hormonal changes and this energy loss. Free radicals will be more in the body. When it goes near the idol, that energy will be definitely harmful for that lady. That is why they are advised not to go to any kind of places where energy is there. Even children are not allowed to go to this near this lady. Why? Because children are really vulnerable because they don't have any stability, and from their body, electrons immediately be attracted by the lady who is having that menstrual cycle. So many things we see. We should go to the subtle science of everything. Then only we can see the meaning of ritual.
Guruji, it's so brilliant that you say that. Just before we end, I want to say one thing, Guruji. With the vaccine, with the COVID vaccine, there is something that's called shedding. That means it's affected the menstrual cycles for women and women around them. So anybody who's gotten a vaccine, women around them are also seeing a shift in their menstrual cycles. So it sounds just like that, the way it is, if those radicals are freed and the woman becomes volatile and then anybody around it. So, everybody should really look at shedding and the vaccine, and it's really explains what Guruji had said.
Everything is connected. Everything is connected to pranic flow in the body. So when this Dasha pranas are in balance, you can do whatever you want. But once this prana is affected and the balance is not there, then you have to be extremely careful. Otherwise, things can go against us.
Yeah. And Harshita, there's so much other Bhuta Chikitsa done for the Sutika, so it won't it should not be a problem. She had an Ayurvedic question, Guruji, that I just answered. This was amazing, Guruji. Next time we should take some more questions because I think we have a lot more fun rituals that people wanted to ask about. I would like to start on again, Guruji, with us summarizing the menstrual cycle because you really explained it well. So we'll start with that again, Guruji, and then we'll go into other questions. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Guruji. Pranam, Guruji.
All right. Thank you. See you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.